There is an instant that appears just before you have to decide. It is silent, almost imperceptible. You might not even recognize it if you are not paying attention, but when you look back, you will see that it was always there. That pause, that stillness, that strange recognition that something is about to require a decision you can no longer postpone. Most people think decisive moments arrive with clear warning. They imagine them as obvious signs, announcing themselves with enough time to prepare. But that is not how life works. The real moments, the ones that divide your story into before and after, do not give you months to think. They give you an instant, and that instant is now. You have experienced this before, haven't you? That growing pressure that makes you feel something important is approaching. That rising awareness that you can no longer keep floating in indecision. The way options that once felt infinite suddenly collapse into one or two. It is like being on a train approaching a split in the tracks, knowing that in seconds you will go one way or the other, but not both. And once the train passes that point, there is no turning back. Psychologically, this experience has a name. It is called the forced commitment moment, the exact point where neutrality stops being an option. Understanding this moment, recognizing that you are in it right now and knowing how to move when it appears, can make the difference between living a life you consciously chose and living the life that happened because you didn't choose. But here is what most people don't realize about this instant. It does not wait for you. In fact, it is designed to pass quickly. Your brain wants more time, more information, more certainty. It prefers endless analysis over commitment. So when the decisive moment approaches, your mind tries to delay it. It creates reasons to wait. It whispers that it is not the right time yet, that you need more clarity, that it would be better to wait for a clearer sign. And yet, something deeper knows the truth. It is the part of you that recognizes you have been preparing for this for months, maybe years. The part that knows you will never feel completely ready. The part that understands that the decisive moment is not when you have all the answers, but when you can no longer avoid the question. This tension between wanting to wait and knowing you can't creates a unique psychological state. You are no longer in exploration, but you have not yet crossed into action. It is like standing on the edge of a cliff, where stepping back is no longer neutral. It is a decision in itself. Most people find this moment so uncomfortable that they freeze, waiting for someone or something else to decide for them. But what if I told you that this uncomfortable instant is actually the most powerful one you will ever experience? That it is where your real future is forged? That the discomfort itself is a signal that you are in the only moment where your choice truly matters? The truth is that everything that defines your life happens in this space, between being able to choose and having chosen, between having options and committing to one, between who you could be and who you are about to become. Learning to recognize this instant, to honor it, to act from awareness instead of fear, is what separates those who create their lives from those who merely receive them. There are patterns in this experience, signals that appear just before the decisive moment. And once you know what to look for, you will never miss it again. You will begin to see that what feels like pressure is actually clarity emerging. What feels like urgency is your opportunity arriving. What feels like an ultimatum is your power concentrated into a single point. The first sign is the convergence of circumstances. Things that have been separate begin to come together. Situations that seemed unrelated suddenly reveal that they are connected. Paths that appeared parallel intersect at a single point. Options that once felt abundant narrow into a clear decision. It is not that the universe is forcing you. It is that reality is showing you that the time for dispersion is over. Like a river narrowing before a waterfall, you cannot keep flowing in every direction. You must choose a channel, and that channel will determine everything that follows. This convergence often shows up as intensified pressure. You find yourself facing not one problem, but several that require the same fundamental decision. You notice that different areas of your life are asking for the same kind of commitment. You feel that multiple people or situations are waiting for an answer you have been avoiding. Old ways of postponing stop working, while new demands for clarity rise from every direction. The people around you will feel this shift. Some will push you to decide now. Others will tell you to wait longer. Not because they know what is best for you, but because your decisive moment forces them to confront the moments they have been avoiding. They are uncomfortable with the intensity of your crossroads because it mirrors their own. But you are reaching a point where external opinions become noise, and your internal truth becomes the only voice that matters. This is when the second sign appears. The impossibility of remaining neutral. Not gentle nudges, but an unsustainable pressure that makes staying in the middle no longer viable. You begin to feel that every day without a decision costs you something. You feel the weight of indecision physically in your body. You start to realize that not deciding is itself a decision, and the worst one, because it leaves your life to chance instead of your own hands. This pressure often contradicts your desire for comfort. The part of you that wants more time collides with the part that knows time is up. The one seeking guarantees meets the one that understands there will be none. The one that wants consensus meets the one that knows this decision is yours alone. It is not that you were wrong for wanting certainty. It is that certainty does not come before big decisions. It comes after, when you look back and see that you chose well. But this is where it becomes critical. Just as this pressure reaches its peak, the final test of your commitment appears. Not another problem to solve, but a situation that demands your choice through action, not words. It is as if life is asking directly, are you going to decide, or are you going to let this moment pass? This is the third sign, the appearance of the final catalyst. An event you cannot ignore, a deadline you cannot move, an opportunity that will not repeat. A confrontation you cannot avoid. This catalyst does not feel like a blessing when it arrives. It feels like the worst thing at the worst possible time. It feels unfair, rushed, imposed from the outside. But once you cross the decisive moment, you will see that it was exactly the pressure needed to force you to choose. It eliminated your last excuse to delay. It burned your final escape route. It forced you to discover whether you truly want what you say you want, or if you only like the idea of wanting it. The fourth sign is the strangest, but perhaps the most definitive. It is the collapse of your perception of time. You stop feeling like you have days, weeks, or months to decide. Instead, you feel that the moment is now, that the window is closing in real time, that every second without a decision is a second you will never get back. You experience an urgency that is not panic, but clarity. The future stops feeling distant and starts feeling like something you are creating or destroying in this very second. This collapse happens because you are reaching the point of maximum potential. When you live in indecision, time feels infinite but empty. When you reach the decisive moment, time compresses into a single point where all your power is concentrated. It is no longer a long line stretching into the future. It is a singular point where your choice determines which line you will follow. Everything intensifies. Conversations you have been avoiding become unavoidable. People you need to face appear in your path. Resources you need to decide show up exactly when you need them. It is not coincidence, even if it feels like it. It is reality reorganizing itself around your decisive moment, stripping away everything irrelevant until only the naked decision remains in front of you. But perhaps the most powerful sign of all is the one that happens in your body. It is unmistakable if you are paying attention. It is the moment your body knows before your mind does. Fear does not disappear, but beneath it, there is something else. A certainty in your bones, a knowing in your gut that tells you what you need to do. Your body has been registering information your mind has been analyzing, and in the decisive moment, the body speaks louder than thought. This shift from mind to body changes everything. You stop searching for perfect logic and begin trusting what you simply know. You stop seeking external validation and begin honoring internal certainty. You trust instinct over analysis. And suddenly the decision that once felt impossible becomes obvious, not because the path is clear, but because you are finally listening to the part of you that always knew. When this happens, your energy shifts dramatically. Where you once felt paralyzed and drained, you begin to feel mobilized and alive. The decision that consumed you mentally and emotionally becomes simple. The options that confused you arrange themselves into natural priority. You are no longer fighting yourself because you are finally aligned with your true direction. But here is what almost no one tells you. Just before the decisive moment, there is often an instant of terrifying clarity. A moment where you see exactly what you are choosing and exactly what you are letting go of. There is no ambiguity, no, maybe I can have both. Only the raw truth that choosing this means not choosing that. And that clarity is terrifying because it destroys the illusion that you can avoid sacrifice. This moment rarely looks the way you imagined. It may come as a conversation that forces you to state your position, an offer that expires in hours, a situation that demands immediate response, a moment where someone asks you directly, and your answer determines everything that comes next. You will not have time to think perfectly. You will only have time to respond from your truth. And in that second, something extraordinary happens. You realize you are no longer the person who feared choosing wrong. The fears that once paralyzed you still exist, but they no longer own you. The doubts that once consumed you still speak, but they no longer control your actions. You have developed something deeper than confidence in your decision. You have developed confidence in your ability to handle the consequences of any decision you make. This is when the fifth sign appears. The emergence of unshakable determination. It is different from stubbornness, because stubbornness is resistance. This determination is direction. It is the deep recognition that you have reached the point where you cannot live without choosing, where remaining undecided would cost more than any wrong decision, where the only unacceptable option is having no option at all. This determination does not remove fear. It makes you capable of acting despite it. The decisive moment stops being something you dread and becomes something you recognize as necessary. The decision stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like liberation. Commitment stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like finally claiming your life. When you reach this state, the signs become impossible to misread. Not subtle hints, but blunt clarity showing you exactly what you need to do. A sensation in your body that says, "This is right." An inner voice that speaks without doubt. A magnetic pull toward one option while the other loses all power over you. Some will call this intuition. Others will call it luck or destiny. But when you are in the decisive moment, you know it is something deeper. It is your entire being aligning with your truth, all the divided parts of you converging into a single direction. It is your whole life moving toward this point to give you the exact information you need in the only instant where it can change everything. This is when the sixth sign appears, the disappearance of all your excuses. Not gradually, but suddenly. The reasons you used to delay sound hollow. The justifications you repeated lose all power. The stories you told yourself about why it wasn't the right time reveal themselves for what they always were. Fear disguised as caution. And without those excuses, you are naked before the decision. Nothing between you and the truth of what you need to do. It does not arrive with fanfare. It feels more like a silence settling in. First, you notice you are no longer debating with yourself. Then you realize you no longer need to convince anyone. Slowly, quietly, you recognize that the decision has already been made at a deeper level. You only need to let your action catch up with your knowing. Every hour brings you closer to acting. Every minute shrinks the distance between knowing and doing, and then the second arrives, and you act. And then one day you realize that you already decided. The moment you feared has passed. The decision you thought was impossible has been made. And on the other side is something you could not have seen from where you were, not because it is so different, but because it is only visible from this side of commitment. The relationships in your life reflect your choice. The work you do expresses your decision. The paths you close and the ones you open honor the instant you finally chose. You find a clarity that only exists on the other side of indecision. This is what life looks like after the decisive moment. Not perfection, but direction. Not the absence of doubt, but the presence of commitment. Not the elimination of risk, but the acceptance that this risk is yours. And here is the powerful truth. Once you learn to recognize these signs, once you cross a decisive moment consciously, you realize life is full of them. It is not a one-time event. It is a muscle you develop, the ability to recognize when the moment has arrived and act when action is required. So if you are in this space now, if you feel the pressure, the convergence, the impossibility of remaining neutral, know this: you are not trapped. It is not too late. You did not miss your chance. You are exactly in the decisive moment. You are in the only window where your choice holds maximum power. The signs are already there if you know how to look. The convergence of circumstances, the impossibility of staying neutral, the final catalyst pushing you to choose, the collapse of time telling you it is now, the unshakable determination rising, the sudden disappearance of all excuses, and finally, the bodily knowing that tells you what to do. Trust the moment. Trust your capacity. Trust that what feels like pressure is actually freeing you from the paralysis of indecision, because the second just before the decisive moment is not about fearing a wrong choice. It is about recognizing that not choosing is the only truly wrong choice. Everything else is survivable. Everything else can be adjusted. But the life that slips away while you wait, that does not return. You are closer than you think, and you will only see this once, just before the decisive moment. After you choose, this instant of maximum potential no longer exists. The window closes when you act. So if you are here, if this resonates in your body and not just your mind, it is because you are at the threshold. The decision is no longer something that is coming. It is something that is happening now. The only question is whether you choose consciously or let it be chosen by default. The moment is now, and you will only see it once.